welcome. This is Life After Trauma with Dr. Jan, helping you to take a stand and put an end to all the drama. Just think of me as your second mama. Hi, I am Dr. Jan, and my channel is all about the trauma and the drama of domestic abuse. Did you know that domestic abuse is a dark and silent culture? Yes, it is. And that is why people do not talk about domestic abuse. And yet, domestic abuse is pervasive, it is everywhere. I know because I lived 42 years as a victim of domestic abuse. And in all that time, I never told anyone what I was going through, not even my family. I remained silent all of those years. I remained silent through the years that I experienced physical violence. I remained silent through the emotional abuse, the verbal abuse, and that psychological mind game called gaslighting. But that silence is over. We are now going to talk about domestic abuse because there is a lot to know and there is a lot to learn. Life after trauma with Dr. Jan is my life story. It's all about how I healed and recovered from the trauma and the drama of domestic abuse and how I moved from victim to victory. I am 85 years young. Yes, I was born in 1939, and today I am a successful survivor and overcomer of domestic abuse, not just once, but twice. And I'm still in my right mind, and I don't look like where I've been, and yet I've been to hell and back. We want to do two things with this channel. Number one, we want to shed a bright light on this dark and silent culture. And number two, we want to encourage, equip, and empower those who have experienced domestic abuse, those who have suffered through it, and those who have been hurt in it. We want to help you to heal and to recover, rise and reclaim your life again, because there is life after trauma with Dr. Jan. Today, we are going to look at episode number 10, and we're giving this episode the title, The Corner Office Mask, When Success Hides Your Pain. Let me ask you a question. Is it possible to be highly accomplished, skilled, professionally effective at work, and have a low esteem, little self-worth, and be a victim of domestic abuse at home? Is that possible? Those two drastic contrasts? Yes. The answer is absolutely yes. A person can exhibit two totally different behaviors and personalities, one at home and one at work. And today we want to explore how these contrasting behaviors can easily coexist. But first, before we get started, I want you to subscribe and like this channel. I want you to hit that subscription button and I want you to hit that like button. Help me grow this channel and share the things that we need to know about domestic abuse because it's dark, it's pervasive, and it's ugly. Thank you for subscribing and thank you for liking this channel. Now, let's get started. As I said, this is episode 10, and we're calling this the corner office math. When success hides your pain. Now, I asked you if it were possible for someone who's highly accomplished, skilled, and effective at work to be the complete opposite at home. And we know that's true. Some of you have done that. Some of you may be doing it right now, living two complete lives by wearing a mask. Well, that was me many, many years ago. I was the epitome of success at work. I was a school administrator. I was a principal. I looked the part. I acted the part. I even dressed the part. Everyone thought I was a great success. But if you were to follow me home, I was the opposite at home. Let me explain. Vincent and I were married in college. Vincent is not his real name, by the way. Uh, we will use that name to protect the guilty. But Vincent and I were married in 1959. We were juniors in college, and I would not recommend any young couple getting married while in school. Finish your school first. Well, I didn't even follow my own advice. We got married while we were in our third year in college in 1959, and it was a struggle. Oh my God, it was a real struggle. We went through so many things, but thank God we did finish college together and we both graduated in 1961. We were both eventually hired as classroom teachers, and we did quite well. We attended Cheney State University, a historically Black college university, and they taught us well. Our professors were the best. Well, in 1966, Vincent went back to school for his degree in administration and supervision, and he later became a principal. When he finished and got his degree, then I returned to school and I earned my graduate degree. Now, Vincent was upset about me going back to school. He really was not upset about me furthering my education. No, that was not it. He was upset because I did not want to get my degree in my master's in teaching. I already had a degree in teaching. He wanted me to stay in the classroom. Well, and he felt that if I were in administration with him, that I would be in competition with him. But I wasn't in competition with my husband. I wanted an administration job because back in the day, in the 60s and the 70s, the administration job was paid for 12 months of the year. But teachers were only paid 9.5 months of the year. They did not prorate your checks as they do today, and you get paid all 12 months. But back then, you did not get paid for the summer months that you were off. And so, of course, they don't do that now, thank God. But back then, they did. But administrators, they were paid 12 months of the year because they worked 12 months of the year. And so Even back then, when I was going through domestic abuse in my marriage, I had plans of the future. I was not about to jump out of the frying pan into the fire, so to speak. I knew I had to plan this thing because we had two sons, two darling sons, and they did not need to go through all that misery if they didn't have to. And so those plans that I had did not necessarily include Vincent. No, and like I said before, I was not in competition with him, even though I could not convince him of that. But even though Vincent put a lot of pressure on me to stay in the classroom, he wanted me to change my mind about going into administration and supervision. I stood firm. I was determined to get my degree in administration because I needed to think proactively. Yes, I was a victim of domestic abuse, and yes, I was kind of mousy, but there were some things that I stood firm on. And I knew that my sons needed me to be able to manage if something were to happen to this marriage. And so I had some future plans that might not necessarily include Vincent, and I wanted to be financially ready in the case I had to go it alone. So after I graduated and got my degree, I applied for the administrative internship that was available at that time, and I was accepted. By the age of 30, I had taught school for 8 years and I had received an appointment as principal of my own school. Now, both Vincent and I were principals in the same school district. Oh, wow. That was unheard of back then. As a matter of fact, it's still kind of unusual even today. If you looked at Vincent and me from the outside, we looked like a very happy and successful Black couple. Imagine to have a husband and a wife serving as principals in two different schools in the same school district was highly unusual and very exceptional. And so we were the epitome of success. Oh, but if walls could talk, especially bedroom walls, those walls would have told a story that was anything but successful. Well, I became a principal, and Vincent remained moody, ugly, and upset with me at home for not staying in the classroom. He resented my position. Therefore, he made my home life a living hell. Home was not safe. It was not a pleasant place to be for me or our two boys. But when I went home from work in the evenings, I played the little wife's role. And although I worked out of the home just like Vincent did, when Vincent got home, he did no work at all. He considered his day was over when he returned home and he had nothing to do. He just sat in front of the TV or read the newspaper and just took it easy. But I had everything to do, all the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry, the grocery shopping, the everything. Vincent did absolutely nothing to help me. He let me know that I may be administrator at work. And Miss High and Mighty, he would call me. But at home, Vincent expected me to wait on him hand and foot. He was the man of the house, and in order to keep his male ego inflated and lifted up, and to keep the trauma and the drama kept down, I played the role of the subservient, domesticated housewife. And believe it or not, I waited on him hand and foot just to keep the peace. I did everything for him because I did not want him going into those deep depressive moods and getting violent. I never knew when that would happen. So I did everything to keep peace at home. You would not recognize me from work the way I was at home. Vincent was a loner. He preferred to eat his food in the living room, seated in front of the TV with the remote in one of his hands. And the boys and I ate in the kitchen without any TV or conversation or communication with him at all. Vincent was not a family man. He didn't talk to us when he got home. He said that he had used up all of his quota of words at work. And by the time he got home, he didn't have any more words left for us. Strange, but that's the way he was. Vincent never took his sons or me anywhere. He didn't do anything with us, nor did he include us in his personal life. As far as we were concerned, he acted as if he didn't have a wife and two sons. He acted as if we didn't even exist. But every Friday and every Saturday night, Vincent would get dressed up and he would go to the bars, leaving us, his family, alone at home. He would sometimes stay out all night and return home after the sun came up the next day. This was not good behavior or pattern for his sons to see, and it was setting a bad example for our sons. But we didn't care. I didn't care. Why? Because when he was gone on Friday night and Saturday night, um, uh, it was a time of peace and tranquility for the boys and me at home. Yes, indeed. We could always rely on him going out every Friday night and Saturday night. And we would say, yippee. I know that I know that sounds bad. I know that sounds sad, but that was true. We came to look forward to our peaceful reprieve on Friday night, and Saturday night. Um, I can imagine what you're probably thinking is, well, Dr. Jan, if things were so bad, why did you put up with this nonsense? Why didn't you just leave? That's a good question. Uh, I didn't leave though, because Vincent had two great redeeming virtues. Yes, he did. He had two things that helped me to put up with his mess. What were these two things? They were, number one, Vincent had an excellent work ethic. That man went to work every day. Uh, Out of almost 20 years that we were married, I cannot remember Vincent missing one day of work. He had an excellent work ethic. And number two, Vincent took care of his family financially. He didn't talk to us. He didn't do anything with us. He didn't take us anywhere. But Vincent gave me his entire paycheck every pay period. And during that time, we got paid every 2 weeks. And every 2 weeks, Vincent would take his paycheck and put it in my hand and give it to me. Now, back in the day, in the 60s and the 70s, people received a real paycheck, a check that had to be taken to the bank, it had to be deposited. You did that all yourself. Nothing was automatic back then. And Vincent gave me his entire check except for a small allowance that he would use on Friday night and Saturday night when he went out. But he entrusted the rest of his money, his paycheck, to me for me to manage the household. Plus, he never asked me for any of my check. So my check was mine. And now, I don't know about you, but to me, that was fascinating. Uh, I know a lot of men that treated their wives well. They treated them like queens, but many of them squandered the money away or they didn't let their wives have it. That's one thing that Vincent did. He did that. And that went a long way with me. Yes, but Vincent was a male chauvinist and he had some terrible ways other than that. But those two things about him helped me to put up with a lot of his foolishness. So, in order to bring harmony to our lives, and my two sons and myself, I centered my life around my boys. And it took me years to finally come to terms with my life and my abusive marriage. But I finally realized that I did not have the power to change Vincent, but I did have the power to change my way of thinking for me and my sons. And since Vincent didn't care about being with us, well, we decided to have a life of our own. And so we learned to make a life for ourselves inside of the home and out without him. Whenever the neighbors saw us, whenever they saw us at church, the church members saw us, they saw the boys, the two boys, and me. We were always together. I had a brand new 1969 Volkswagen Bug, and I would throw those boys in the back of that car, and off we would go. We were like three musketeers. We went to church together. We went to the barber shop together, the grocery store, the library, movies, museums, the zoo, sports, events, everything. You name it, we did it together. As a matter of fact, there were many people who did not realize that I was married and that our boys had a father that they lived with because they never saw Vincent in the neighborhood. I considered myself what you call a married single. I'm going to talk about what it's like to be a married single one day in one of our episodes, so you will understand what I'm talking about. So the point is, with Vincent being violent, very very harsh in many many ways, my job became my sanctuary, whether in the classroom or as a teacher or as a school principal. I could always escape the trauma and the drama at home with Vincent and be myself at work. And because I worked long hours and I took pride in everything that I did, people thought of me as very a dedicated worker. Some even called me a workaholic. Yes, I did have a strong work ethic and I was disciplined and I worked hard, and that had been instilled in me by my parents and by my teachers in an early age. But it was more than that. They saw me as just working, trying to do a good job. And that was true. But I worked hard for two reasons. Number one, a work on my job was really the only place that I could gain recognition, the recognition that I so desperately crave. Doing a good job gave me a sense of significance and purpose. But number two, and more importantly, it was more pleasant for me to be at work than it was for me to be at home. That's sad, but that was true. My sons and I never found what we needed to make us feel whole at home. And so when I became a principal, my two boys hung out at the school playing basketball in the gym. Many times their friends would come. While I'm working in my office, they were in the gym, just having the time of their lives. And so being at work became our sanctuary. And we loved being away from home. It's that, that was true. And so as my sons grew older, Vincent's erratic and he became even more physically violent. It just got worse and worse. And he continued to live like a hermit and he did not interact with us, his immediate family. He had no friends and really didn't seem like he wanted any. But that inability to socialize and have understand communication skills and social skills, that made it difficult for him as a school administrator. We never discussed work at home because Vincent didn't want to hear about my day, even though I did want to hear about his. But another thing that complicated our marital relationship was the fact that I got along well with my staff, my teachers, my parents at work, but Vincent did not. A lot of how he treated me at home was just the way he was, and he carried that same treatment to school. And, the school was his staff and his school was primarily made up about 90% women, females, because we were in elementary schools. And so he would come home angry and upset about one thing or the other all the time. And he would take out his anger and his hostility on me. And that's when he would come home cussing and fussing and complaining. And I never said a word. Mm-mm. I just kept my mouth shut. And I know those women were difficult for him. So I played the subservient role to make him happy at home and to help me cope. So, question: how did I survive those two extreme contrasts between home and work, which happened to be my destiny? The answer is I wore masks. Long before anything was known about COVID-19, that pandemic, I wore masks to hide my real feelings and to keep my mouth shut. Nobody knew the hell that I was living in. And I just, um, although I had achieved that so called corner office status, I was successful in one way, but I wore that invisible mask to hide my high profile pain. I just want to end this episode by saying, you should never any envy someone that you think is successful, no matter how successful they appear to be, because you never know the real deal about that person. I know there were women that envied me. They wanted to be me, but they should not have done that. They really did not know me. And you really don't know anybody until you've walked in their shoes. And so, uh, um, if if I wanted to share something, that would be what I would share with you to remember that everything that glitters is not gold. So please share your comments with me. Tell me, I would be interested in hearing them. And remember to subscribe and like this channel. Help me grow Life After Trauma with Dr. Jan. I also want you to know that I have a website. It is www.JNB, that stands for Jan Norberg, jnbministries.org. And I have an ebook. It tells about my life, and it is entitled Testimony of a Kept Woman, From Misery to Ministry Instead of the State Penitentiary. It's a memoir, it's my life story, and it's a short and easy to read book. It tells how I lived those 42 years in domestic abuse. And it gives great detail about the physical violence, the emotional, the verbal abuse, plus that psychological mind game called gaslighting. Also, I want you to check out in my website, I have a curriculum below, and it's right there on my website, and it's called 7 Power Keys: How to Heal and Recover from the Trauma and the Drama of Domestic Abuse. I spell out in this digital curriculum the specific keys and strategies that God used to help me recover and heal from 42 years of domestic abuse. This is Life After Trauma with Dr. Jan, and I want to thank you for subscribing and liking my channel. God bless you. And thank goodness that the Lord was with Joseph in Genesis chapter 39, verse 2. And you know something? The Lord was with Dr. Jan also. So God bless you. I'm looking forward to seeing you again the next time for another episode of Life After Trauma with Dr. Jan. See you soon.